I have a very serious topic for today. So it's going to be about social media and how social media is definitely going to cause a lot of issues. And I think just going forward, the problem unfortunately is going to get worse and worse. So I had a AI tool kind of do extensive research and kind of look into it. And so I'm going to break down kind of what I found from it and kind of show you my thoughts on it and kind of the harsh reality that we're going into. The truth is, if you're watching this, you are going to be affected because you have access to these kind of tools. And I love to say it's a tool, but honestly, it's just a time waster for the most part. Like, there are a lot of value. Like, if you're watching on YouTube, usually that's pretty good. Instagram too, there's still pockets of value, right? A lot of other things also have value, but it's like most people, I think, in this world are just using it to just waste time. And it's bad. It's very, very bad because there's a lot of other consequences that come with it, not just like, missed opportunity, but we're talking about like actual health consequences and just like depression and all sorts of terrible things. So I'm going to show you what the kind of report looks like, and we're going to read and break down it step by step. So if we take a look here, right, so this is kind of the tool I used. It's called Manus. Again, they're not sponsoring this, but pretty much it did a really like comprehensive analysis. You can kind of take a look at what I asked it to do, right? So all the way at the top, I said just like given the state of how social media adoption is spreading, and also like stuff like brain rot, and more of the youth in the next generation are spending increased number of hours on their screen, right? So I just asked it to look at the next 30 years and what it thought is actually going to happen, right? So let's take a look at what it outputted. Okay. So a 30-year prediction. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of this, but pretty much it's just saying, okay, social media has changed a lot of society, right? And then there's a lot of cognitive impacts, right? Rewired brain. So it's talking about how attention span is declining. There's a 2025 study by this Singapore Tech University. 68% of young people report difficulty focusing, right? So these kind of things are, it's saying it's not just like a behavior thing. It's a symptom of a brain being rewired for constant novelty and instant gratification. I think we've all heard this, but I want you all to like understand how profound this kind of is, because you can imagine if a whole generation is grown up on this, what's going to happen to all the things that require deep thinking, like, discovery, research, like all of that going forward. If you have, like, yes, there's be some people that can still think, but it's like you're going to have a vast majority of people who are just like kind of unable to do things, or that at least inherent disadvantage, at least mentally, in how they're being rewired. Because we're talking about very important years of adolescence, right? When you're talking about like the periods of 10 to like 20, a lot of development happens during that time. And unfortunately, even people younger than 10 years old are on like social media all the time. And so it's like if you have constant input, like I was thinking about this other day, if you constantly stimulate something like your brain, you just don't have any space for you to create your own stimulation. But what I mean by that is like create your own thoughts, create your own ideas, all that. That doesn't happen. But if you are just constantly being like, pushed and prodded, you're just going to react. And your brain's going to get used to reacting and not actually doing anything super useful. So that's something I'm like very kind of concerned about, I think. And then, as you can see, like, beyond attention span, there's like a lot of stuff that goes to executive function. So just like negatively impacts working memory, inhibition, and task switching. And just, this cognitive overload is definitely going to cause issues in academic and professional success. Increased screen time correlates with lower academic performance in key subjects like math and English. Obviously, it's a problem. The brain itself appears to be influenced by social media use. There was a 2018 study in Nature that said that amygdala, which is a part of the brain important for emotions, shows a relationship between how big it is and the size of somebody's social network. So how many people they're following, right? So this means that like, your brain is physically being rewired. And so creativity, we'll get into this, at its core often requires a structured periods of unstructured thought, deep reflection, and patient incubation of ideas. This is something like I really noticed is like when I have realizations and things and like of what I need to do differently, it comes when like I'm not listening to music, I'm just like either biking or driving, and I just have a thought. And it's like that thought, even though it just pops in your head, it's the result of you just like mulling over stuff, kind of quietly in the background. And eventually it comes to your forefront. And that can't happen if you're just constantly stimulated. If you're constantly stimulated, your brain's always occupied, occupied, occupied. And it doesn't have time to make any connections, make anything new or novel. Like you think about all the super like intelligent people who have created amazing things. Like they all had these periods where there's just kind of silence and they're thinking about stuff. And that just led to a lot of these thoughts, right? And if you have a whole generation that doesn't even have that as an option anymore, right, where they can't just like connect thoughts together very well, and they're just being stimulated all the time, that's going to cause a lot of issues for society, right? That's going to cause a lot of problems. And so I'm bringing this all up because I just want everybody to understand that, yes, like social media use can be beneficial for the most part, right? But you have to control the doom scrolling. I think that everything else besides the doom scrolling is good, but like the doom scrolling is just destroying people. Like it's destroying your dopamine levels, it's destroying, your focus, your attention. It's kind of destroying your life in a sense. And, longer form content like YouTube is probably okay, but like constantly having hours and hours and hours a day of just doom scrolling is really bad. It's like really, really bad, because it's just causing all problems. And like this is just showing you all the problems it's kind of causing. And there's like so much more in this. I'm not going to go like all the way through it. We'll see. But like another aspect of it is just saying like, employees that are Gen Z, about 33% of them think that like they can't go a full hour without being distracted. And I'm just saying this because it's like, if you really want to become successful, you need every ounce of like kind of advantage you can get. And if you're out here struggling with your focus and attention, like you're just so behind, because the people who don't struggle with that, they're going to be way ahead of you. And like the people who are locked in are going to be way ahead of you. And, if you're struggling with doom scrolling, like there are things that can fix, like can help, right? There's like this app called like OneSec, so ONESEC. And it's something I personally use. Again, they're not sponsoring anything, but it helps you just like, break the habit of doom scrolling, and it really just gives you back your time in life. And you need to realize that nobody has the willpower to just stop doom scrolling. You have to put in place systems and effective things that can stop you from doing that. And the next part of this paper is just talking about how like it's going to fracture, the politics and the government and all the sorts of stuff, because like people are going to be polarized, because a lot of the content shown on like social media and doom scrolling just causes you to, really just take one side or the other. And there's a lot of extreme stuff on there, and that's just going to propagate and spread. And also the problem is too, it's like there's so much mental health, right? So it says adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face a double risk of experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety, right? So just think about 3 hours a day. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that like most people only spend less than 3 hours a day, but I know people who have screen times of like 6 hours or of like 8 hours, of like 10 hours. And it's just like, and we're talking about screen time of like just doom scrolling. So it's like there's such a huge vacuum that is just sucking the soul out of everybody. And it's terrible. It's really terrible, because now you imagine like all these people who could have amazing thoughts, who could do amazing things with their life. Even if you spend time with friends, like, and you don't do anything, but you spend time with friends, that's probably way better than just like doom scrolling in your room, right, with nothing else. And so I just think that, yeah, just like it's really causing so many issues. Social media has connected us in so many different ways, but there's a lot of issues with it, and you have to control it properly in order for you to like be able to become successful, improve yourself, and stay focused and not get distracted by it. But yeah, let me know your comments and thoughts down below, and subscribe for more videos like this. I really just want to help you guys understand that this is a really big problem.